Hello, Saif, can you hear me?
Yeah, I just heard you. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were talking. That's why.
Hi, Saif.
Hi.
You you have any questions from our previous session?
So far, no. I'm fine.
Okay. Okay, in continuation to the last session, so we're looking at a pivot chart, right? So we were looking at the general properties, dimension, how do we update the dimension, expressions, sort, presentation, visual cues. So we looked at visual cues upper. Then we had the style in which we could change the visual appearance of the table. The number font was same. Now this is the table. So you're looking at sum of order quantity. Now if you remember, we did the set analysis part, right? So we did a lot of set analysis. All the set analysis is valid over here. Suppose if I have to compare current year versus previous year, sum of order quantity, I'll say where year is equal to, I will just go pick it up from that set analysis tab that we had. Right, so we have put a formula over here, right? Current year formula, current year total. You can use the same formulae or and update it over here. So one can be your current year, another can be your previous year. Same is for budget, you can update it. So you can have it like this, current year versus previous year, you can match them. Now the best part over here is you can also find out the difference between this. Now this is current year, right? So you have updated as current year. This is previous year. Now if you want to find the difference between current year versus previous year, right? Maybe the variance you'd want to find out. So you don't have to give the entire formula. You can use the same column name. So basically you can say current year. So it will give you this. So whatever is in red color is the actual fields, and whatever is in blue color, right, is the name of the expression in the chart. So when I say this chart, pivot table chart, current year, the blue color current year is the name of the expression. So I can say current year. Okay, I'll have to use minus previous year. If I use a square bracket, it will actually subtract these two expressions. So I don't have to use the formula again. So I have just updated the formula in one place. I'm just calling the name of the column. So current year minus previous year, right? So I can say variance. So I can get the variance of what is the current year versus previous year variance. Now all my other columns are same: territory ID, special offer ID, shipment ID. Based on that, the set analysis works and gives you the overall variance. Now with this variance, so this is how you could draw. This one method is giving the column names, current year versus previous year. You can give another as column numbers too. So you can say, see, column number 1 minus this will also do the same thing. It will subtract the first column minus second column. Now over here the columns are nothing but the expressions. Current year, previous year is first column. Third column is the variance, right? So I can use the column. I can calculate within the expressions in multiple ways. So I don't have to keep using the formula again and again. So one expression I updated the formula, I can keep calling the formula name in all expressions. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me now? Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. I was out.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Ma. Yeah. So like we were discussing about this, so you can use the same set analysis functions that we spoke, right? So the various calculations like showing how do you have a table with current year, previous year, and the variance. So you can draw two columns with the set analysis telling, okay, I need the sum of current year, I need the sum of previous year, and the variance between both. Now for variance, you don't have to use the exact formula again. You can just call in the field names or the labels. So basically over here, current year is one label for the expression, right? Previous year is another label for the expression. You can directly call in the variable labels and like make out the difference, I mean calculate the variance. You can also, apart from the labels, you can also call the position of the columns. So column 1 and column 2. So whichever goes first will become column 1, whichever is the second will become column 2. So based on that you can write. So there is no limitation as to how many expressions you can add. You can add n number of expressions. So there is absolutely no limitation. Right, so you can add a budget also. So you can say budget. Sorry. If you have a budget, it will just be sum of budget. I'll just take sum of tax amount. To make it, to keep it more simple. Right, I can add multiple columns like this. Now, I want to show, like, I mean, you know, visual cues, you can definitely put up visual cues. If the values are negative, you can do it. So variance 2, if the value is greater than 0, greater than 1, it is green, lesser than 0, lesser than or equal to 0, this thing, right? So you see this red and green, right? It is done. So the variance is applied. I mean, visual cues are applied. Now, why did this get applied? So I have this. Now, instead of this, you can have a little more innovative visualizations. Like, suppose I have this variance, right? I'll just copy this. Now, last time I told you can copy and paste the expression too. So I'll keep this as variance itself, or I'll just name this as blank. So whenever you want the labels to be blank, right? You can't leave it blank. You just leave it with one space. That's when the labels will be blank. If you leave it without anything, if you just keep it blank, the label will default show the entire formula. So just keep it space, one blank. Now over here, within the expression, right? This is my expression. So I can write an expression. If you remember, I showed you these graphics also, images and all. So I can say if current year minus previous year is greater than or equal to 0, or I can give image of a positive sign. Right, I can build a smiley. So green smiley, paste. If it is negative, I'll give a red smiley. Right, if it is apart from greater than or equal to 0. Now this field over here, representation is there, right? So I can't leave it as text. So if I leave it as text, it will just show me text. If you remember, we in the text box also we changed it to image. So only this field I've changed it to image. Now let's see what it shows me. So it is technically showing me the smiley, but the smiley is too small, so we'll just keep it fill. So I can have this red and green smileys. like this. And delete the text one. Now in the current year, right? Okay, in the current year, so I'll copy this and paste this over here. Now this is current year. I'll name it as trend. Now in the current year, with the same expression over here, right? Using this expression, I can draw out a chart for based on the months. So I want to show a trend over here. Instead of showing the numbers, numerical numbers, I want to show the trend. So over here, apart from text and image, there are a couple of other graphics: circular image, linear gauge, traffic light gauge, LED gauge, and link. Okay, there is no mini chart. So what you can show is a circular gauge. Now, what is a circular gauge? Suppose I show it against a target. So 0 to, you remember gauge, right? So in gauge we used to define a target, right? 0 to 1 is nothing but like actual divided by budget. Whatever decimal you get is the, it used to get compared between 0 to 100%. Or here instead of 0 to 100, what I'll tell is I will just give 0 to, so my target is 10,000 for every ship method ID, and every territory I will give, my target is minimum 10,000. So let's see against this how it is performing. I'll give an angle span. Okay, let's leave it 270 as is. Now what happens is Qlikview is giving you a mini chart within the chart, like a gauge chart, right, for 2007 alone, for the current year. It's not current year trend, current year. If you want to go back to the gauge settings here, visual cues. First thing is I'll remove these visual cues for us to better understand. So small chart it is giving. Now this chart is not really clearly visible. So what I'll do is I'll go back. I will change the angle span. Instead of 270, I'll make it 280. It will be half sphere. So it will be like this. If you look at the bar, the pointers, right, carefully, those are pointing accordingly where it is. So my target is 10,000. All the targets, all the current year actuals are not more than 5,000. I'll change my target. I will just go ahead and change it to 5,000 for it to look more better. Now if you look at it, it is pointing, over here it is pointing closer to 5,000. Here it is almost 5,000. 157, 140 is too low, right? Here it is 3264, so it is pointing here. Now you realize that you want to have a bigger little cell height and everything. So you go to presentation, wrap cell height text to 2. Then you will be able to see it more clearly. Right. These, I mean, you can see these spheres, right, which is showing you. So these are called like charts within the expressions. Basically, you can have circular gauge. Similar to that, you can have linear, right? Over here, linear has this pointer, right, over here. In case for linear gauge, you don't even need to have wrap text. In fact, it will look really apt like this, right? The black pointer is where you are against the target. Then you can have line, traffic line gauge, LED gauge, okay. And this. Now the last thing is, suppose you are building a table. Okay. So I'll just copy this. You can minimize the table, like last time we saw, right? I've minimized this table. I'm copying this table. Over here, I will change the dimensions now. I'll remove territory ID, special offer ID. I'll just put sales order ID. So current year, previous year, I think it doesn't matter which year, what year. Now I have a report, sales order ID, I have everything. Now suppose I want to go to the actual sale order ID in an application, right? And basically it will be in my, the application will be in my ERP solution. So I can add a link over here telling that www.google.com update it as a link. Okay, I don't exactly remember the syntax of this. One of these methods, you can actually set it as a link, and when you click on it, basically the link will launch. So yeah, basically display this as a link, and whenever the user clicks on this, right, you can pass the parameters for your ERP solution. Basically, even you can pass the sale order ID also. So you can pass the sale order ID information and make sure that that particular page opens up. So here I don't have that example, but I think I have an example which will have that. I don't have an immediate demo. I'll show it to you probably tomorrow, so how that link works. So these are the few things that you can do with the expressions. Apart from this, you can conditionally control these variables, right? So like I said, this over here condition, you can write the condition over here, 1 is equal to 2, or we test 3 is equal to 2. So whenever the variable we test will be true 2, that expression is going to be visible. So if you go to the settings and variable overview, test 3 is 6. If I just update it to 2, you'll see the variable pop up. I mean the expression come over. So that's how you can build it. And these are a couple of options in the pivot table. Apart from this, all these options remain the same. Okay. Most of these options remain the same. Only the chart type changes over here to a straight table. Now what is a straight table? It is more or less like the pivot table itself, but there is no pivoting option and there is no grouping option. So it is basically record by record. A straight table is completely record by record. So if you look at the row, right, territory 1, special offer ID 1, ship method ID 1. There is absolutely no grouping over here. So you can sort it by any method anywhere you want. So you can sort it by territory ID, you can sort it by current year. But in a pivot table, even if you sort it right, you had to sort it by the groups. So it was sorting. Now if I sort by special offer ID over here, it used to sort within the group of territory ID. It was not an overall sort of special offer ID. So in a straight, whenever you want the overall sort of any column, you have to go with the straight table. So if you look at it, record by record, it has all the values. Plus, but all the other properties, the expression building, right? So the expressions that we write over here. So you can write multiple expressions, current year, previous year, variance. You can also have the image. You can also have the gauge chart, linear gauge chart. You can have a sort, presentation. I mean, yeah, I'll come to presentation, sorting, visual cues. All these things are same. The difference is the presentation. Under presentation, here there are a couple of more features than the pivot table, if I have to say. Suppose I have this territory ID. So I have updated this territory ID, special offer ID, ship method ID. Now I don't want to show the territory ID. Right? I don't want the territory ID in this chart. So let's see what happens if I remove it. If I remove this territory ID, the aggregation is on the special offer ID and ship method ID. I don't want it to happen that way. I still want the aggregation to happen on territory ID, right? So basically the aggregation should happen on territory ID and then on special offer ID and ship method ID. So the combination of that, I want the aggregation to happen. But ultimately in the end of it, I don't want the territory ID to be visible in the chart. So in a straight table, there is an option under presentation where you can pick the column or the field and hide it. So you can say hide column. The column will be very much active for all the aggregation and calculations, but visually it is just hidden. If you look at it, I have hidden the column. Right, I have hidden the column. If I show column, it will do it. So I can hide these columns conditional also. So I can make it conditional over here. I can do it at the expression level also. There is a conditional for expression level. I can do it at the dimension level. Now if I do it at the dimension level, then it affects the aggregation of the table. So when I say that, if I do a conditional, enable conditional over here, so if it disables based on the condition, then what will happen is territory ID is like almost taking out from the chart. It is similar to how I took it out from the chart. The aggregation will happen on special offer ID and ship method ID. Over here under presentation, if I hide it conditionally, it will still be there for the aggregation, but visually it will be hidden. There are some very famous chart type, chart, or we call this as basically a butterfly chart. So over here you have the current year, previous year and variance, right? These are my expressions, calculated expressions. These are on my extreme right. A user can drag the columns and if you enable this allow drag and drop, right, by default it is disabled. User can drag and drop the dimensions to the right. Now this becomes a butterfly chart. The reason being the dimensions are on the either side and the expressions are in the center. So generally when they term it as butterfly chart, this is what they are meaning. The expressions are in the center and the dimensions are on the extreme right and left. Now all these other things that we spoke are remain the same. Now like over here, right, this current year linear gauge, so gauge settings, everything. Along with all of these, you get a new chart type over here called mini chart. So all the other options are same thing. Over here there is a mini chart. Now what this mini chart does? Now my sum is showing as current year order quantity, right? This is nothing but current year order quantity. Now I can show this order quantity into a different mini chart. Using this expression, I can draw out basically a chart or a graph. Now what can I do? So if I go to mini chart, It'll ask me what kind of lines: spark lines, line with dots, bars, whiskers. So I'll go with spark line. I can select a secondary dimension over here. So in this scenario, I will select the month, right? Month, and I'll leave it the same thing. Text with max value, blue, high, minimum value, red. So, okay. Now what Qlikview does is, it will take the value of this entire thing, right? My current year is 4,795, right? It is showing me a month on month split of how it is, the trend. So technically I think there are whatever number of months in the chart for current year, Jan to July. So it is showing me a trend from Jan to July, and it also is showing me which month was the highest and which month is the lowest. The blue color is the highest and the red color is the lowest. Right, that's the trend. So these are called as mini charts. These are very useful to show you, like I said, show you a trend. So you can change it to bar. So you can distinctly see this, there are 7 bars. Right. If I take 2008, 2008 has 7 months, it is showing you 7 exact bars. Wherever current month is 0, it is 0, 0. 41 is in only 1 month, that is over showing only 1 bar. So you can quickly see which, when you are seeing some current year values, how is the trend for this thing, and which month has the highest sales, the blue color. So that's one extra thing in a straight table that you will be able to understand easily. Defining a mini chart. Any questions or doubts? All right. Yeah, there was a little rejig in the timing because there's some problem with the 7:30 login sessions. Tomorrow we would continue with this same time, and we'll also continue with the last remaining part. So we have covered all the objects, right, and all the other methodologies that we have to do. Now, the last remaining part is the maps, integrating Google Maps into the solution. Tomorrow I'm going to do that. Along with that, I will also demonstrate how. Now our application is ready. Yeah, of course we have not done a great layout job, but technically our development, so if you take this as the entire development, we have developed around a couple of 20 odd sheets, 20 or more than that sheets. Now, how do we publish this to a server? So that is the next topic. So tomorrow I'll do the maps and publishing it to the server. So that will actually give us a complete, that will bring us to an end to the entire course session. So if you have any questions, sure, I'll do that. So if you have any questions or anything, you can basically ask me tomorrow, or you could follow it. So do let me know if you have any, if you have left any of these chart things. Okay. All right then. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, If. Thanks, Mark.